Want to make Christmas cards that look beautiful but don't take hours? What if I told you that the most stunning Christmas cards you could make could also be your easiest? So let me show you how to paint some simple watercolor designs that sparkle with holiday charm and create the big wow factor. So let's just jump right in and pull out some supplies. First, I of course need some watercolor paints, a paper towel, some clean water, and then some brushes. Now you can pull out whatever you have on hand. I will be using my personally designed Craftamo brushes today. And because cards are usually on the smaller side of things, we'll need some smaller brushes. So maybe I'll pull out a number 1 rigger, the number 3 round, and the number 6 round. And just as a side note, I'm excited to say these brushes will be back in stock very soon, so make sure you sign up to be notified when they are available again using my product page link in the description of this video. That way you'll be amongst the first to know when they are ready. Now, for the paintings today, we are just going to keep things very simple. These can be very easily done in more of a free-handed manner. In fact, I probably shouldn't show this because they're not very polished, so just keep that in mind. But this is a rough draft of some of my ideas for these cards that I was just playing around with. The lines aren't straight or anything, but I'll just pull that out to show you really quickly anyway, just so you can get an idea. But I literally painted all 3 of these designs in like less than 10 minutes. So you obviously can tell that it was a little rushed. But if you slow it down just a little bit, I guarantee your cards will look amazing. Now, you do have a choice on what kind of paper to paint on. I've done cards in many different ways. Sometimes I'll take my Arches 9x12 paper and just cut it into 4 equal parts and paint right on that. Or you can get a little bit fancier and buy watercolor cards that have a nice crease that allows you to fold the paper in half. And in fact, I did another freehand painting on a card like this just to show you how that turns out. And the fun thing is that usually these watercolor card sets already come with envelopes, so you can just paint and mail them without much hassle. If you're interested in pre-cut watercolor cards like this, I'll leave a link for these in the description of this video, as well as links and information for any of the other products you see me using today. But anyway, my point is you can paint these on different paper forms to suit your needs, and you can paint these in more of a free-handed manner if that's your style, or if you like a little bit more structure and guidance to your paintings. I actually have a plan for that too that we'll talk about in just a minute. Now, the best thing about these cards is that there really is only 2 things that you need to be able to paint, and both of them are super easy. The biggest part to these is just being able to combine them together into different ways. So first up is just painting some berries. I'll just use the number 3 round for these and keep them more on the smaller side. I'll take some cadmium red paint and simply paint a circle outline of color to start with, and then I simply fill it in with color, leaving a small white circle as a highlight for the berry. There are, of course, different and more fancy ways to paint berries and make them look more realistic, but for today, I just wanted to keep things quick and simple and fast. So really, that is all there is to it for today. The next thing that we'll be painting on the cards are the green leaves. Again, super, super simple and uncomplicated. You can use whatever green color you like. I kind of like this olive green for these today. And then if you freehand paint these leaves, you really only need to take maybe 2 or 3 strokes of the brush to complete that leaf. And for a bit of extra fun and detail, I like to leave a little center white line or a highlight on these too. But that part is optional. Like I say, super, super simple. This is really the basis for these cards. I think it really comes down to the way that you choose to arrange them is what can turn a simple card into something more stunning. So stick around and I will give you some ideas for that. But really quickly, I will just throw out also that if you're someone who paints better with some sort of outline or guide, you do have the option to simply draw your own little outline before you even start painting so that you can focus on how you want your composition to go. I'm also planning to create some outlines for the cards that I paint today, and I will put those in my Etsy shop so that you can simply trace them onto your cards without having to worry about creating it yourself. Just whatever works for you. We have lots of options here. But enough of my blabbing, let's get to painting. Now, I did choose to sort of draw a light outline sketch on here of what I wanted so I could just follow right along with it. And you're welcome to do something similar with or without a penciled sketch. Now, because I don't want my pencil lines to show too much on my card though, I am just going to quickly lighten up my pencil lines a little bit by using a kneaded eraser. You can either dab at the pencil lines or roll it across the paper, and that just takes off some of the loose graphite on the page. All right, since I already have the colors I want to use already on my palette, I can just jump right in here. I think I'm going to go ahead and start with the red berries first. And because these are fairly small in size, I think I'll just use the number 3 round to get into those tiny spaces. But again, I'll just kind of paint the outline circle for the berry first and then fill it in with color, leaving that little white highlight. The only thing that you'll want to keep in mind with these is to make sure that the white highlight is approximately in the same place on each berry. This is just going to give the illusion that the light source is coming from one direction. And just as a heads up, I am going to be skipping through some of these parts since we are going to just be repeating the same steps over and over again. But I think you've got the important information down here. I just want to make sure that we can also get to some of the other card ideas and arrangements as well without dragging things out for too long. Okay, well done. We are off to a good start, and hopefully that wasn't too hard. Next up, let's go ahead and paint in some of the leaves next using the olive green color that I already have on my tray. I might switch over to the number 6 round and paint in the larger leaves first, and then if I need to, I can pull out that number 3 again if the leaves start getting too small. Now, just as I mentioned earlier, if you're painting these leaves in more of a free-handed way, you can probably paint them in just 2 or 3 strokes. If you have some kind of outline like me, the goal is just to fill in the outlines with color. And I personally like to leave the white line highlight on the leaves, but if you don't, you can fill in the whole space with color and then paint a darker vein line instead. Just whatever you want to do. Something else that I might like to do to try to create a little bit more interest here is to have some of the leaves darker in value and some lighter in value. For the darker leaves, I'll just use a more heavy, concentrated amount of pigment compared to water, and for the lighter values, I'll just add a touch more water into the pigment to dilute it down a little bit. And again, these are just simple and fun, so sit back and enjoy the painting process. If you find you're enjoying my painting and teaching style today, I hope you'll subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on any of my new and upcoming tutorials. I have some more really fun and unique Christmas ideas up my sleeve that you are not going to want to miss. Okay, great job. Now the main feature for this card is now done, but I do want to doll mine up just a little bit by adding in a touch of gold looking accents. I have some different ways and ideas on how to do this, so make sure you stick around for the next couple of cards for more ideas. To get a gold looking color, we have a few options. As far as normal, not fancy paint colors go, you can use raw sienna and mix a little bit of gamboge in there, and this creates a really nice rich gold color without having to buy special paints. Another option is, of course, to get some actual gold watercolor paints with some metallics in there so they have some shimmer and shine to them. And then you can simply use a small thin brush like this rigger brush to apply these paints on with. This is nice and thin so that you can paint some really nice detail lines using it. However, I have gotten a lot of people telling me that they have a hard time painting thin lines though, so even though I often use a brush for these, today I have an alternative that you can try as well, and that is to simply use a pen, a colored pencil, or a marker to draw the lines on instead. For example, this is a flexible tipped calligraphy marker. I really like using these if I ever do any sort of lettering, but they can also work to just draw in some fun little gold accents with. For this card, I think I want to try to add some little curl frills and dots on here, off to the sides of the berries and off to the sides of the leaves as a fun whimsical little accent. The fun thing about these calligraphy pens is that they do have a really nice pointy tip so that you can create some fine lines, but because the tip is flexible, if you press down on the pen, then you can create some thicker lines as well, which is why they work so good for calligraphy and lettering. To finish off the look of this gold accent though, I'm going to add some nice thin lines in here to tie everything together and create more of a border for the card. And voila! Doesn't this look nice? These simple golden accents really add something special to the overall look, don't you think? Now, you can use the center of the card to write a little message, who it's to, who it's from, or you can use a simple Merry Christmas, or you could even just leave it blank. Again, just whatever you want to do. And for a little secret tip to get some pretty lettering on here, even if you don't have good lettering skills, just print off the words in a font that you like from Word or something, and then you can just trace them on there. But that is it for this first card. So let's move on to the second one now for a different way to arrange these same elements. The good news is that these are all going to have the same basic principles. It's just put together in a different way. So this is where you can use your imagination and creativity. The possibilities are really endless. I'll just start again with the red berries first, then move on to the green leaves, and finish off the look with the golden accents. But this time I'm going to try something a little bit different, so stay tuned. Isn't this one pretty too? It's a very simple composition, but it's very elegant looking at the same time. And to emphasize this look even more, let's go ahead and add in the gold accents. Now, I'm going to put a border around this one as well, but we are going to do it a little bit different this time. I'll start with some lines going all the way around the edge of the page first. Now I'll show you how simple it is to doll this up and make it look fancier than it actually is. To start, we'll take each outside corner and draw 3 oval or teardrop shapes, with the middle one being just slightly larger than the other two. Then I'll come in here and draw heart shapes on the inside of the corner so that the edges of the heart touch the straight line. Now, stemming up from the bottom line of the heart, I'll draw a large swirl coming up and around, and then from the top of the heart, a small swirl going in the opposite direction. Isn't this so fun? These are such simple lines, but when added together in this way, it creates a really fun and fancy frill in the corner that just dolls up the whole piece. I'll finish this card off again with a simple Merry Christmas, and then we can move on to the third card. And after you see all three, I would love to know which design you like the best. So let me know in the comment section. Now, this card is probably the most intricate and detailed of the three, but the basic elements are once again going to be exactly the same. Now, to doll this card up a little bit, instead of doing a border or outline around the edge of the page, I'm going to add some other different gold accents. So first up, I'm going to draw some frills, almost like a branch with rounded off leaves stemming out from the green leaves and the berry bundles. I also think it would be fun to maybe try throwing some little snowflake shapes as well down in the more empty space of the page. If you want yours to be more straight, you can, of course, use a ruler. I'm just freehanding these. And then lastly, I'll finish this off with the Merry Christmas words again. Now, I just think that all three of these turned out super pretty and elegant, yet they are really super simple to paint. You, of course, have the freedom to play around with and create your own designs. You'll probably even come up with something better than I did. I also personally really like the color scheme of these today. It's rich and warm and just seems cohesive and Christmassy. I am so glad that you joined me today. I hope you had some fun and maybe even learned something new. I can't wait to share more Christmas fun in the coming weeks, so keep an eye out for those. If you did enjoy this tutorial, I hope you'll subscribe to my channel so I can continue to help you discover your artistic side.